Hi, third graders. I am so excited to be talking with you guys today about our new writing topic for this week. You guys have been reading about fairy tales the last couple weeks. Well, today we are going to talk about how you write a fractured fairy tale. But first of all, we kind of have to understand what a fractured fairy tale even means. So you have your basic fairy tales, and then you have what they called fractured fairy tales. So it's when an author takes an original fairy tale and they make changes to it, and it becomes a fractured fairy tale. So a couple of things that you can change as an author when you are writing a fairy tale is you could add new or different characters. You could switch the good or bad characters around. You could have a different setting. Maybe add some funny stuff in and make it a funny story. You could make it a modern story, or you could add new or different events. So if we think about different fairy tales that we've been reading about, we've had the Three Little Pigs, Three Billy Goats Gruff, and Cinderella so far. In order to write a fractured fairy tale, we are going to think about a fairy tale that we really like. First, you want to make sure it's a fairy tale that you know really well, okay? And then you want to think about how do you want to change that fairy tale. So we are going to use a fractured fairy tale plan organizer, and I have it right here. And you guys will have it when you are writing. So the first thing I need to think about is, what fairy tale do I know really well that I could make changes to? So I'm going to think one that I know really well is Cinderella. So I'm going to base mine on Cinderella. So I'm just going to write the title Cinderella where it says based on. I'm not sure what I'm going to title mine yet, so I think I'm going to leave that for last. So think about the basic Cinderella story. It takes place in a castle in a kingdom, right? But I want my setting to be a little bit different. So mine's actually going to take place on a softball field. That's really different, huh? So for undersetting, I'm going to write softball field. And then I need to think about the characters. So I could keep the characters the same, or I could change the characters, right? So in the normal Cinderella, the classic Cinderella story, we have Cinderella, we have the evil stepmom and the evil stepsisters, and then we also have the fairy godmother, and then of course the prince. So for my characters, I'm going to have Cinderella, but instead of naming her Cinderella, I'm just going to name her Ella. Okay, so she's going to be my main character. And then I'm going to have an evil stepfather instead of a stepmother. And then maybe for, I'll have one stepbrother and one stepsister. One stepsister. Okay. So that is mine filled out. For the bottom, you could draw pictures of what your setting would look like and what your characters could look like. I just wrote them. That's fine. The next thing I need to think about is the problem and the solution. So the problem in Cinderella is that, well, she wasn't treated right. She became a maid, right? But then the big problem was that she wanted to go to the ball and she couldn't, and then her fairy godmother came, and then she ended up going to the ball, right? And then she had that glass slipper, and the prince wasn't able to find the person with the glass slipper. When he finally did, they got married. So because mine's happening on a softball field, I think my problem is going to be that she wants to meet. Okay, so let me think. Problem. Ella wants to play softball for Florida State in college. Okay. And the solution is that she's going to get a tryout, or a scout is going to come and see her play in the championship game. And instead of a glass slipper, I'm actually going to have it be the cleat that gets left behind, and they're going to find her by trying on a cleat. So cleat will be the shoe. Oh, you know what? For characters, I forgot about the fairy godmother. So instead of a fairy godmother, let's have a magical coach. Or a magical bat boy. Right? The person that gets the bats when you play baseball, softball. That would be a good idea. So I filled in my problem and I filled in my solution. Now I'm going to kind of map out what's going to happen at the beginning, what's going to happen in the middle, and what's going to happen at the end. So I think in the beginning, we're going to get introduced to Ella at the softball field. So I want you to think about how you typically start a fairy tale. So I'm going to start with Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time, there was a girl, don't mind the dog barking in the background, a girl named... So she's going to have to be able to go to a state championship game that she should be playing in. But her evil stepfather is keeping her from going. So, and stepfather keeps her from going. Okay. And then my ending is going to be, or actually the middle will be that the fairy bat boy comes and gets her to the game. And then the ending will be that she loses her cleat and the coach or the scout from Florida State finds it. And then they go around trying it on every girl that does softball in the town. And of course, you know, because we need a happy ending, they will find Ella and it'll fit her. And then Ella will be able to go off to Florida State and play softball there. So they will find Ella. Okay. So this is what my organizer looks like. So I started with the fairy tale that I know really well, Cinderella. And then I thought about the characters and the setting, and I changed it to how I want to write my story. And then I came up with the problem and the solution for my story, and then I came up with what would happen at the beginning, what would happen at the middle, and what would happen at the end. Okay? Now, this is just a guide to help you. Okay? This is not your story. Your story's not done, right? I would then have to take this and I would have to turn it into an actual story. So today you are working on coming up with a fairy tale that you want to change. You are working on filling out this graphic organizer. And then tomorrow or another day this week, you are going to work on actually taking these ideas and creating your story.